Hello and welcome once again to Four Wheels Good, the only place on television where real motor lovers can enthuse about the things they do love most. Later on we'll be removing two of our four wheels actually and looking at how you can get about town with a motor vehicle inside a bag. And John Wright will be knee-deep in oil and nuts in Inside Motors. Looking forward to that. But first we have a real treat for you. We've all seen the Ford car with its appealing, quirky styling and we think, good car for nipping around places. Well, I bet you never thought they'd be rallying in them. They are. And Richard Warren took a drive over the English Channel in a car to Belgium.
Well, the Ford car is certainly an unusual mini car in its class, and it certainly has gained a lot of attention in its first year of running, because certainly one of the things Ford have done to try and make it acceptable to the general public is actually put a rally series up and call it the Cow Rally Championship. And this round is actually taking place in Belgium, so we had to get over here rather quickly, so we came over on one of the fastest and most unusual forms of transport available, and that was Sully Line's Ramsgate-Ostend ferry.
This one is a very large craft. It has a length of 80 meters, 27 meters of beam, and for the new type of catamarans, he is a very comfortable craft now. The catamaran is the type of the wave-piercing catamaran, so once he makes speed, the bows will cut the waves, the bow will come down. That's the reason why we put as much weight in the forward part of the ship. The stern will come up and the ship will start to glide through the water. That's the reason why you have a comfortable ride on this type of catamarans.
We should be following the Welsh-based crew of James Phillips and Gethin Jones as they go through the pre-event warm-up to the rally, which involves a lot of pace noting and checking of pace notes. And if you've never seen that sort of thing before, it is quite interesting, because if you ever thought that rally cars just go around on unseen roads without knowing anything about what lies ahead, then you'd be completely wrong, because pace noting is really telling the driver what is lying around the next bend. So that's why they can fly around at the high speeds they do.
Well, there was a competition which was in Autosport magazine, which was a series of 5 questions, information about the car, and from that 5 or 6 finalists actually were invited to Boreham, which is Ford's Motorsport Centre, and there was selection through the day, driving competition, interview skills, and throughout it I managed to win.
Right, well obviously it's a nice bonus for you because there's certainly a lot of money involved in this, and certainly if you bought the car yourself it would cost about, what, £20,000–30,000 to do?
Yeah, about £25,000 with the car and everything, and probably about 35 in total.
And have you been involved in rallying before or not?
Yes, I have, yeah. I've previously involved and did this rally last year as well.
So how does it compare to what you were involved in last year?
Well, I was doing the Skoda Trophy last year with Skoda Felicia, and the car, it's Group A this year, so it does handle very, very well. To be honest, it's the best handling rally car I've ever driven.
Well, of course, a rally car contains 2 people, the driver and the navigator. And perhaps the most key person in the car is really the navigator, because on a rally there's so many things to take care of, and the driver, after all, does what the navigator tells him most of the time. And here we have James Phillips, who is the navigator for Gethin. Well, certainly, James, you've got one of the hardest jobs that I know of in the rallying world. What's it like from the left-hand seat?
It's very good fun, but it is the hardest job. The driving part is easy. They just have a little wheel and some buttons to press. I've got to look after everything, the timing of the event, make sure we're going in the right direction, make sure we go the right way on the stages, read the pace notes to Gethin, keep a lookout for the service crew to make sure they're in the right place, and they need to know what work's required on the car when we reach service points. This is a detailed map of the stage, and again this relates to the similar things. We have the tulip diagrams, and in the week before the event we will now follow these tulips through and make detailed notes of the stages, which are the pace notes.
Now, how do you actually go about doing that? Because you're a little bit hampered because you're not supposed to go over, is it 35 or 45 miles an hour when you're doing this?
That's right, and initially you won't go over that speed purely because it's impossible for me to write quickly, and I write what Gethin will tell me, and he describes the road in accurate detail.
60, right 1, 100, long right 2, right 1, flat crest 80, 40 crest and left 2.
Well, a normal service area change here, just car coming in for new tyres and fill up with fuel and check oil and the other temperature gauge and everything else, make sure it's running quite well. And obviously the service crew have to do this on a tarpaulin. It's actually part of the regulations that they cannot service the car unless this tarpaulin is down on the ground. And it's purely actually a technical thing, but also it's quite essential in the sort of weather we get over here in Belgium. Sometimes the ground isn't all that dry, so certainly it's very good for the service crew, and also it aids them if they drop spanners or lose nuts and that sort of thing, because as you can see it's quite a bright colour. But here you can see the suspension is getting attention, just having those track control arms checked up there and tightened up. And obviously on a tarmac event like this, the suspension does take quite a pounding, so it's essential the service crew get to grips with any problems that might happen and make sure that things don't break before they do. Well, Gethin, that was just a fairly normal service check for you. Obviously your crew are very experienced at making sure the car's running well, but what do you as a driver have to tell the crew when you come in for servicing?
The most important thing is to tell them what's happened on the stage, if there's anything that's happened to it, if we've gone off or if we've hit any particular potholes, just to make sure that the car's in as tip-top condition it can be.
And obviously what about tyres as well, because we were talking about tyres earlier on, the importance they make in the stages. What problems do you normally have with tyres?
Well, especially with the roads over here, because you do have to use the ditches a little bit to get you around the corners. You could have put a cut in them, which means it may go down later on the stage. Also with the weather a bit changeable this weekend, we need to make sure that we've got the right tyres on for the conditions.
How do you keep track of the fuel in this sort of event? Because I know certainly on the fuel economy the car is used quite a bit as a rally car, so always you've got to keep close attention to how much fuel you're putting in as well. How do you keep a regulation of that?
We try and run as little as possible. We know exactly how much mileage there is between each start of a stage and the next service point, so James gives a monitor in it and we put as little as needed really for that.
Before the event, Gethin and I have been round and located as many service points as we need on the event, and each one will have its own specific detail or location or reference point, maybe a shop or a pub that the service crew can pick up, and we'll see them after every stage at these specific points so that we know where they are and they know where they are.
the gentleman who's standing in front of me is actually responsible for the whole Ford Car Championship, which is an enormous responsibility, I understand, and obviously you've been coordinating all this year. Kevin Shortis, what's actually the reaction been to the first year of the championship?
Well, we've been very pleased with the response this year. We've had a database I've got on the computer of about 299 people that registered an interest, and that's translated into some hardcore competitors out this year. And we've seen some very good championship rallying this year with car. Well, the rally kit is quite a comprehensive kit of parts, and in fact we've gone for safety and reliability and then performance. We like to see it as our entry-level rally car, and from there you could go on to there is a proposed another tier level of rallying next year perhaps, but ideally then you could progress into the Formula 2 rallying, and ultimately of course you may become Carlos Sainz or Jürgen Kankkunen and do well for us in World Rally Championship.
Rally car that'll really make heads turn and tongues wag, and with an affordable price for that rally kit, it truly is a way into rallying for anyone who's serious enough. Well, that's it for part one. In part two, Eamonn Mills will be taking a two-wheeler to places that something with four wheels won't go, and John Wright will have his head under a bonnet as usual in Inside Motors. See you then. Welcome back to the second part of this week's Four Wheels Good. Now, have you ever thought, I'd like another form of transport that'll get me from A to B across tracks that are inaccessible to the car, perhaps a form of transport that doesn't require any effort, and one that I can put in a bag and carry home from the pub? Well, look no further. Eamonn Mills may have the answer to your dreams.
Do you want to know what the stars are driving around London this summer? Is it a Ferrari? Is it a Ducati? No, it's one of these. A Go-Ped and Go-Ped thingies, which have been brought into the country by this man. Hi, Jago.
Hi there.
Hi, nice to see you.
Nice to meet you.
So tell me exactly what these are, these Go-Ped thingies.
They're all different types of electric and petrol-powered scooters. They range from sort of £495 up to £2,000 and more, depending on what you want to spend. Pays your money as he takes your choice. It's like that. And
you started with the smaller Go-Ped.
I started with the smaller Go-Ped, which is the one over there in the background. They are sort of £495. They're just petrol-powered. They're great fun. They're nice and light. They're a lot more portable than these ones, even though these, as you can see, fold down like this. The others, the Go-Peds, fit in a bag, which is nice. These machines here are the bigger ones with the fairing and the nice coloured plastics, are all electric powered and are, you know, essentially a much bigger thing.
So Jago, why exactly did you start the company?
I used to work in a PR company. I was doing PR for things which sometimes were good fun and other times weren't. I had a Go-Ped. I paid, I think it was short of £700 for it when I got it from America, which was about half my monthly wage, and it really stuffed me for the next month. And Harrods were selling them for about £1,000, and I thought, if you can get these things for less money, I think they're quite a sensible way of getting around, and if not just that, just having fun on them.
So do you want to show me exactly what this one's about and how it works?
Yeah. This is the most expensive one we're looking at here. This is it folded down, yeah, and this is it in its upright position. You can get this one as it is here. You can get it with a seat, so you can operate it sitting or standing. It does 0 to 35 in about 2.5 seconds, and is not for the faint-hearted. You have to really hold on. It flies. The thing is, with electricity, you don't have to build up and get revs like you do with a combustion engine. It's instant power. and if you don't know what you're doing, it's a bit hairy.
So what's the top speed on something like that?
It'll do 35, but it'll get there very quickly.
Right, and it's completely electric?
It's completely electric, yeah.
So how does that work, and how much do you have to charge the batteries to get the thing going?
This will take, it'll do 4 hours on one charge, which if you consider 4 hours at 35 miles an hour is a fair old whack. But if you're constantly accelerating and de-accelerating, which is unfortunately what you have to do in busy areas, it won't do the 4 hours, it'll go down to about 2.5 hours. But it'll get me around doing what I'm doing and what I need to do. I know it'll get me home, and I can charge it when I get home. Charging takes about 4 hours. But the other thing you can do, of course, if you do run out of fuel, and I have done when I didn't know how long the charge was in it, just fold it up and stick it in a taxi.
So you plug it in like a household appliance?
You can do it in a restaurant, you can do it in the bank, you can do it in your office, you can do it at home. It's pretty simple to do.
Have people let you plug it in all over?
Yeah, you've turned up at a restaurant and people just are so amazed by what you've turned up on. They're like, fine, yeah, plug it in.
Can I plug my phone in and my
Can I plug my phone and my transport in?
And what's the difference between these two? That's obviously just a smaller board.
This is just a smaller version. It costs £650. It'll do 20 miles on a charge. Again, that goes down somewhat if you're constantly accelerating and de-accelerating, but it will never go below 12 miles on one charge, and that takes, again, 4 hours to charge up.
And it's as fast as the other one?
No, this will do 20 miles an hour. You can use it again with the seat in or out. Kids and people who don't want to be seen sitting down or something prefer it with it out. I prefer sitting on it. It's just much more comfortable. You can, it's completely silent and it's very easy to use, whereas these are not.
Doesn't it look a bit less cool with the seat though?
Probably. It doesn't bother me. I just find it comfortable. But a lot of people who buy them from me take the seat off completely. But I mean, my mother uses one for whizzing around up in the country, and she uses it with the seat in.
The small motorised Go-Peds retail at about £500. The larger Zips retail at about £650, and the bigger EMX retail around £2,495. One problem with these Go-Peds that the Police Department of Transport will tell you is that they are in fact illegal to ride on the road. It is fine to ride them on anyone's private property, or if it's for use for recreational use, but on the roads they are trying to ban them as we speak.
Handy little things those, aren't they? But I'll probably leave mine in the pub, knowing me. Finally, on today's show, it's time to find out what's happening in Mr. Auto Fix-It's garage. That's right, it's John Wright with Inside Motors.
Hello and welcome once again to Inside Motors. As regular viewers of this slot will know, there's one thing I really hate, and that's cars that don't start. Let's pose the question, why won't a car start? Well, it could be that the battery's flat, it won't turn over. Then the other reasons are there's no fuel, there's no air getting in there, or there's no spark, or in this case of a diesel, there's no heater plugs, the heater plugs aren't working. This is a Citroen diesel, it won't start. It's turning over, there's plenty of air getting there, there's plenty of fuel getting there. It's got to be the heater plugs. Look, this is where the heater plugs are, in here. These are heater plugs in there, you can just see the end sticking out of the block. But first of all, we've got to get rid of this wire that's here that connects them to the battery. Right, little fiddly job. It's a 7mm spanner. Let's get it on the end. Right, that's got that one loose. Get rid of the wire now. Move that out of the way. Now what we need to do to get rid of these is we need a 10mm long socket just to get on those. I'll go and get that, I'll pop back and undo that. Okay. Right, let's just stick the socket on the head. And that's it. I know I said this was a 10mm socket, but Unfortunately, I lied, it's not, it's 12. We can all make mistakes, can't we? Right, that's the old heater plug, and better go and get some new ones, stick them in. Okay. Here are the new plugs, come in a little box like this. You just got to be a bit careful when you're opening them because they come with their own nut and washer. You don't want to drop them on the workshop floor and have to go grovelling around looking for them. Put the nut and washer to one side and we'll fit the plug. Simple refitting, out the same hole that the original came from. Screw it in hand tight, and when it just gets a bit difficult, stick the ratchet up and tighten it up firm. There we go. Nice and firm. One down, just another 3 to go. Let's get on with them. Right, now we've got the 4 heater plugs in, all we need to do now is collect up the wiring and then we'll connect it up to the battery and see if it goes. We've changed the heater plugs. Let's see if this thing will start now. Just wait for the heater light to go out. And there we go. Heck of a lot better than it was this morning. Cheers. See you next week on Inside Motors.
Thanks, John, and we'll see you next time. In next week's programme, we'll be returning to the world of rallying with a special report from rally driver Mark Nuttall, and we'll be comparing a couple of choice kit cars. See you then.